Your subconscious mind is running your life, and you don't even know it. But once you learn how to control it, there's nothing you can't achieve. Rain pounded against the tall windows of a tiny one-bedroom apartment in Queens, New York. The city outside was a blur of taxi headlights and wet sidewalks, but inside, Alex Carter sat at a cluttered kitchen table with his head in his hands. 35 years old, once proud owner of a small but promising graphic design studio, he now found himself staring at a mountain of unpaid bills. His laptop sat open, but the screen was dark. The battery had died hours ago, and he couldn't find the will to charge it. The phone buzzed again. Unknown number, probably the bank, probably the landlord. He let it go to voicemail. His coffee had gone cold, untouched. Alex whispered to himself, "I've worked harder than ever, but the more I try, the worse it gets. Maybe I'm just not cut out for this." Outside, the city kept moving. Inside, time felt frozen. The next morning, still feeling heavy and lost, Alex wandered into a small cafe on Bedford Avenue. The warm smell of roasted beans wrapped around him like a blanket. He ordered a plain black coffee and found a seat in the corner. That's when he noticed him, an older man with silver hair, reading a leather-bound notebook, a calmness about him that felt out of place in the rush of New York. The man glanced up and smiled. "Tough day?" Alex gave a half laugh. "Tough year." They talked. Alex told him about the business, the bad clients, the constant stress. The man listened without interrupting, just nodding slowly. Finally, he said something strange. "You've been talking to the wrong mind." Alex frowned. "The wrong what?" The man leaned forward. "The conscious mind is the voice you hear all day, the part that worries, plans, and judges. But it's your subconscious mind that's actually steering your life. Change that, and everything changes." The words stuck with Alex like a song he couldn't get out of his head. They met again the next day. The man introduced himself as Samuel Blake, a retired entrepreneur who now spent his days mentoring people. Samuel pulled out a napkin and began to draw. "Think of your mind as an iceberg," he said. "The tiny tip above the water is your conscious mind, what you're aware of. But the massive part below the surface, that's your subconscious. It holds your beliefs, habits, memories, and it's running the show." Alex shook his head. "Sounds like self-help stuff." Samuel smiled. "I thought the same, until I used it to turn my life around. You've been feeding your subconscious fear, scarcity, and doubt. It's giving you exactly what you told it to." Alex leaned back. "So, how do I tell it something else?" Samuel's eyes lit up. "By planting the right seeds over and over." Samuel gave Alex his first assignment, the mirror exercise. Every morning, stand in front of the mirror, look yourself straight in the eyes, and say exactly what you want to be true. Out loud, not what's happening now, what you choose to happen. That night, Alex stood in his dimly lit bathroom, heart pounding for reasons he couldn't explain. He stared at his reflection, feeling almost embarrassed. Slowly he spoke. "I am capable. I am successful. I attract the right clients." It sounded fake, forced, but Samuel had told him, "It will feel ridiculous at first. Do it for 21 days without missing a single one. The subconscious learns through repetition." Alex decided to commit, even if it felt like lying to himself. A few days later, they met at the cafe again. Samuel slid a pen and a sheet of paper across the table. "Write down a specific goal, not, 'I want more money.' Write the exact amount, the date, and how you'll earn it." Alex hesitated, then wrote, "By December 31st, I earn $10,000 a month through my design business, working with clients I love in a way that excites me." Samuel nodded. "Now post this, where you'll see it every day. Your bedroom wall, your desk, even your phone wallpaper. Your subconscious needs precise instructions, not vague wishes." That night, Alex taped the paper to the wall beside his bed. It felt strange, but strangely hopeful. Samuel's next lesson came with a story. Before the 1968 Olympics, a high jumper named Dick Fosbury imagined himself winning the gold medal every night before bed. He visualized it so vividly, his body simply followed the image. You're going to do the same. That night, Alex lay in bed and closed his eyes. He pictured himself in a bright, airy studio with sunlight streaming through tall windows. He saw happy clients shaking his hand. He felt the weight of $10,000 in his bank account. Samuel's words echoed, "When your conscious mind rests, your subconscious listens most." For the first time in months, Alex fell asleep with a faint smile. By the second week, doubt began creeping in. A client canceled a project at the last minute. His rent reminder arrived in his email. The affirmations felt silly again. One night, Alex almost didn't do the mirror exercise. He called Samuel and said, "I think I'm wasting my time." Samuel's voice was calm. "Right now, your old programming is fighting back. Your subconscious doesn't change in a week. It's been running the same script for years. Most people quit just before the shift happens. Don't be one of them." Alex hung up, took a deep breath, and stood in front of the mirror again. Day 18. The sky outside was gray, and Alex was in the middle of designing a flyer for a low-paying client when his phone buzzed. A message from Megan Davis, a college friend he hadn't spoken to in years. "Hey Alex, I heard you're still doing design work. My startup needs branding. Are you available?" It wasn't a huge job, but it paid better than anything he'd had in months. More than that, it felt unexpected, like a door cracking open. He remembered Samuel's words. Your subconscious moves in whispers at first, then in shouts. By the end of the first month, Alex had 3 small clients. It wasn't $10,000, but it was momentum. He noticed he walked differently now, shoulders back, head high. One evening at the cafe, Samuel leaned in and said, "You've built your first mental muscle. Now we go deeper." And that's when life really starts to shift. Alex didn't know exactly what Samuel meant, but for the first time in a long time, he was excited to find out. It was a Sunday morning. The streets of Brooklyn were unusually quiet, a soft winter sun spilling through the cafe windows where Alex sat waiting for Samuel. When the old man arrived, he placed a steaming cup of coffee on the table and went straight to the point. "We've been planting seeds in your subconscious," Samuel said, "but now we add water, and water is emotion." Alex raised an eyebrow. "You mean feeling happy?" Samuel shook his head. "Not just happy, you need to feel the emotions of already living your goal. Your subconscious doesn't know the difference between real and vividly imagined experiences. Tie your affirmations to gratitude and excitement, and they sink deeper." That night, Alex stood before the mirror again. But this time, he didn't just say, "I am successful." He pictured himself holding a signed contract from a dream client, his chest warm with pride. He let himself smile, feeling that rush of relief and joy, as if it had already happened. The words suddenly felt alive. 2 weeks later, Samuel gave Alex a harder task. "You can't plant roses in a garden full of weeds." Alex knew what he meant. Negative self-talk. endless scrolling through social media feeds filled with envy and complaints. Hanging around people who believed life was just survival. Alex started small. He unfollowed accounts that made him feel inadequate. He stopped joining conversations at networking events where people only complained about clients. Whenever he caught himself thinking, "I can't," he immediately replaced it with, "I can learn how." It wasn't easy. Some days he felt like he was fighting his own brain, but over time, the mental clutter began to clear, and he could feel the difference. One cold February morning, Samuel called him early. "From now on, before you touch your phone or answer a single email, give me 5 minutes." Alex laughed. 5 minutes for what? "For priming the mind before the world talks to you," Samuel said. And so Alex began each day with 5 uninterrupted minutes, standing tall, repeating his goal statement, visualizing his dream studio, and smiling as if it was already his reality. Sometimes those 5 minutes turned into 10, and on those mornings, the whole day seemed to flow better. Small annoyances didn't bother him as much, and ideas came more easily. By early spring, Alex felt unstoppable until it happened. A big corporate client, one that could have pushed him halfway to his monthly goal, suddenly pulled out of their agreement. No explanation. Just gone. The old Alex would have spiraled, questioning himself, feeling worthless. But this time, when the first wave of panic hit, he took a deep breath and remembered Samuel's teachings. Out loud, he said, "Something better is coming." It felt strange to say it, but the words calmed him. Exactly 1 week later, a new client appeared through a random introduction at a gallery event, paying double what the corporate client would have. By month 3, Alex's income was halfway to his goal. The jobs weren't just coming from ads or cold emails anymore. They were appearing in ways he couldn't have planned. A podcast host who had seen his portfolio online invited him for an interview. An old high school teacher referred him to a nonprofit needing a full brand redesign. Even strangers at coffee shops were asking for his business card. Samuel smiled knowingly when Alex told him, "Your subconscious sees patterns your conscious mind can't. It makes connections you don't even notice until the results show up." One evening, as the city outside shimmered in the lights of early summer, Samuel taught Alex the final technique. "We call this night programming," he said. "It's the most powerful time for the subconscious." Before sleep, Alex would lie in bed and whisper his goal in a calm, slow voice. Then, with eyes closed, he would imagine the moment it became real. The congratulatory emails, the phone call to his mom, the feeling of total freedom. He would hold on to that image until he drifted into sleep. Samuel explained, "In those last moments before sleep, the conscious mind steps aside, and your subconscious is wide open. Feed it the right story." 6 months after that first rainy morning in Queens, Alex sat at his kitchen table again. But this time, the table was clean, his laptop was charged, and his coffee was fresh and hot. He logged into his bank account, 10,243. He stared at the number for a long time. It wasn't just the money. It was the proof that the method worked. The mirror exercises, the emotional triggers, the goal statement taped to his wall, the quiet nightly rituals. Samuel's words echoed in his head. You didn't force it. You guided your inner autopilot. 1 week later, Alex was back at the cafe. But this time, he was the one sitting alone in the corner, working on his laptop. A younger designer approached him, looking stressed. They struck up a conversation. Alex listened as the young man talked about overdue bills, bad clients, and burnout. When he finished, Alex smiled and said, "You've been talking to the wrong mind." The young man tilted his head, confused, exactly as Alex had months before. The final scene shows Alex walking down a busy New York street at sunset. The skyscrapers glow gold in the fading light, and the sound of the city swirls around him. His narration plays over the scene. Your subconscious mind is always listening. Plant fear, and you'll live in it. Plant possibility, and you'll walk into it. Every thought, every image, every emotion is a seed. The only question is, what are you planting today? As he disappears into the crowd, the camera lingers on the skyline, bright, endless, full of possibilities. If this story inspired you, hit that like button, subscribe for more powerful life-changing stories, and share it with someone who needs to hear it today.